Good morning, everyone. Before I get started, somebody in this church is missing a pocket Bible. I snagged it up, but I just need to borrow it for a few minutes, if you don't mind. First and foremost, on behalf of the Des Moines Police Department, I want to extend my deepest sympathies to Tony's family. Zoe, Frank, Patricia, Cameron, Haley, Max, Kylie. My heart bleeds for you. And if any one of us in this room could take away your pain, we would. We're all heartbroken. Secondly, I'd like to extend my deepest condolences to the Des Moines Police Department. What you've endured in the last 8 months is more than any agency should have to endure. I don't even know what to say, other than that none of us should be here. And I thank you. The reaction to what occurred speaks volumes of the communities we serve. The tragic news of what happened to Sergeant Tony Beminio and Officer Justin Martin transformed into a call for action for these communities. The outpouring of support has been overwhelming. You've been our rock during this difficult time, and you've stood beside us, so much that at times it's difficult to determine who's serving who. But more importantly, in my opinion, is that the silent majority has spoken loud and clear. The community has risen up and declared that what happened was horrific and unacceptable and will not be tolerated. This does not define Central Iowa. This is not who we are. I would ask that you remain committed to this spirit, this mindset of continued support as we move forward. We are all in this together. This is our community. As we honor Tony, the easiest way for me to do it is describe who he was and what he meant to our organization. If God could handcraft the perfect police officer, inside and out, it would look just like Tony. Command presence oozed from his pores. But his size and strength were just a small part of who he was. He was intelligent, organized, creative, and detailed. When Tony was at work, he always had the advantage. And his level of success made it readily apparent that Tony wasn't just good at this job, he was great at this job. But when we think of Tony, many of us remember something else. Tony truly cared. His compassion and kind-heartedness took his work and his personal life to a whole nother level. I'm going to share a story that speaks of Tony's character. And there's someone sitting in this room today who knows all about this story. So about 7 or 8 years ago, there's 2 guys working the midnight shift. 2 cops doing their thing. One of them's Tony. One of them works in small town Iowa, about 100 miles straight north of here. They're out there doing their thing, keeping the city safe, patrolling the streets. And one of them has to manage a horrific accident. Many of us in this room have been there. You know what I'm talking about. One of those that's burned in your memory. This officer thought he'd had enough. He'd seen enough pain, he'd seen enough tragedy in his years of service, and he was done. He was going to turn in his badge at the end of the shift. And he made a phone call, and he called Tony. And he started telling Tony that story and what his plans were. And Tony, being the epitome of a strategist, he waited. He waited for the perfect time. And then he chimed in with this. He said, "You're not a quitter. You didn't raise a quitter. If you quit, you will regret this for the rest of your life. This is what we do. And if we don't do it, who else will do it? That was a conversation between a father and a son. And that officer eventually rose to serve as chief of police in Belmont, Iowa. Chief, picking Tony as your go-to guy is a pretty wise decision. Mom and Dad, you raised a good one. You should be proud, because we are. But Chief, you're not alone. There are other people in this church today who have benefited in similar fashion. You see, Tony didn't just cheer for the underdog, he lifted him up. If someone was struggling, he helped them out. If they stumbled, he lifted them back up, put them on their feet. It wasn't necessarily his job or his place. He did it because it needed to be done. He did it because he was Tony. There are students at Roosevelt High School who are more focused and more driven because Tony mentored them. There are crime victims in our community that saw justice served because of the work that Tony did as a detective. There are police officers in this room today who are more mature and more successful, personally and professionally, because Tony showed them the way. His character defined him, and our organization is stronger because his legacy of making us better lives on. When you ran into Tony, you talked about family. He was a proud husband, a proud father. Tony loves Zoe, and he loves you kids. He was quick to share all the stories, every trip, every date, every tackle, every pin, every basket, every base hit, every game of Punch-Out, every vacation. If you ran into Tony more than once during the day, you probably got to hear the same stories again. He was just that proud. Last winter, right before Cameron wrestled in the state tournament, we had that discussion 4 times in one day, all before lunch. I knew the names of every kid in your bracket, and I knew their record. And your dad knew you were going to beat them. Your dad is very proud. He's a proud man, proud of you kids, proud of his wife. Cameron, Haley, Max, not trying to scare you here, but there's nearly 500 people that work in our building. And every single one of them pretty much knew your every move. Your dad loves you and he's proud of you. And we were happy to share his enthusiasm about your lives. That's what it's all about. Aside from the heartache of losing Tony, it leaves a void in our department. A big void. In the private sector, they look at things like potential when it comes to promotional opportunities. In law enforcement, we have a different standard. Potential doesn't cut it. There's too much at risk. We need demonstrated skill to make that move. You have to have the right people in the right spots. When we promoted Tony to sergeant, he had it. He had all the intangibles you needed. He had the skill. He had the leadership. He had all that and much more. Tony's future in the police department was not as a police sergeant. His future was at the command level. That was obvious to everyone. I know it. They know it. Tony knew it. He would never say it, but Tony knew it. Yet here we sit, left with the what ifs. For those of you who didn't work around Tony, or didn't necessarily know Tony, I want to share some perspective about what Tony was a part of. They say everyone has a breaking point, that place where they simply have had enough and they'll throw in the towel. That seems logical. but apparently not in law enforcement. I don't believe this to be true. The men and women that Tony worked with are an amazing bunch. The worst brings out their best. When tragedy strikes, they show up, step up, take care of business, even when it's one of their own. They don't complain, whine, or pout. They shoulder the load and go to work. Very few occupations require this of their employees, and it takes a special bunch to pull it off. They've been to hell and back in the last year, and they keep getting stronger. Every single one of them. Tony Baminio is part of an invincible organization that just won't quit. They are absolutely incredible. That is what Tony represents. These are Tony's people. Zoe, we talked about this. You said you'd give me a minute. It's time for a confession. Seems like I'm in the right place for that. We've had a rough go of it lately. And a lot of people have told me, stay strong for your troops. I think I've heard that a million times. This is where I'm going to come clean. The strength of our organization isn't at the top. The fabric that makes us strong is intertwined throughout the entire organization, all ranks, sworn and civilian, from the people sitting in this front row all the way back. Not to mention the people back there right now taking care of our streets, occupying our building to make sure business is taken care of. That's our strength. Our organizational chart really means nothing when you measure strength. If the roles were changed, I'd like to think that I could demonstrate the same skill and courage and resolve that you people have shown me. But I'm not sure I can. But I'm not embarrassed or ashamed to say that. In fact, I'm proud and I'm thankful to be a part of it. Maybe I don't say it enough, but whether you know it or not, you have held me up. We've got good people, and we can do this. I know we can. And even if we stumble, look around you. They're here for us. Look around this room. We got this. We can get through this. To the Zoe and the rest of Tony's family, you're all staring at me, and you're looking at me, and I know what you're thinking. What's your next move? Chief, what's your next move? What are you going to do next? Zoe, you've been around long enough. I think you know how this works. Chief, you get it. Well, let me tell you how this plays out. This DMP dam family will close in on you and wrap their arms around you. They will always be there for you. They will always take care of you. You will never feel lonely, helpless, or walk in fear. They know what their responsibilities are, and they will not let you down. You have my word on that. I watch this happen every day. I know these people. They will not fail you. Our home is your home. There is always a place for you at 25 East 1st Street. Take a look over here. This is what you get. And I'm telling you, you're lucky to have them. But there's a little more to this. When you walk out of this building, you're going to see how far family extends. Public service officials from all over the state, every corner of the country, elected officials from city, state, county, federal level. They're all here to share your sorrow. Community members, people that will help you shoulder the sorrow, people that have helped us shoulder the sorrow. They are all here for you. They are all here for Tony. Through the tears, when you walk out, give them a smile, because their hurt is your hurt. Their presence here is a symbol that no one should ever have to go through this alone. And their commitment is that no one ever will. That's why they came. It's truly something special. And the man before us deserves every bit of it. Everything Tony did, he did from the heart. Think of what a different world it would be if everybody took that same approach. I want to leave you with a passage from the book of Isaiah. It's chapter 6, verse 8. And I didn't pick this verse. In fact, I was kind of preoccupied trying to find something that would give me strength. This was given to me by one of my police officers. A police officer that Tony took under his wing and mentored. A guy that was struggling, and Tony's caring act of kindness maybe saved his life, certainly changed his life, and I guarantee you saved his career. Vintage Tony. His impact lives on. But the verse reads as follows. And I heard the voice of the Lord saying, whom shall I send? And who will go for us? And then I said, here I am, Lord. Send me. God sent Sergeant Anthony Beminio. And we're all better for it. Now his time of service has ended and God has called him home. I am absolutely heartbroken. God bless Tony Beminio.